2 in my Back to Basics style series, building your wardrobe from the bottom up. In the first episode, we talked about finding your style, and in this episode, it's all about decluttering and how to effectively declutter and downsize your wardrobe. Before we get started, I'm going to start with my top tips for decluttering. First of all, I will say start in the morning, give yourself a full day to do this. If you've got a weekend, give yourself a weekend. The more time, the better, because you can always underestimate how long this is going to take. I speak from experience, it can always run on a little bit longer than you expect. So the more time you have, the better. And if you start in the morning, just make sure that you don't have anything else to do throughout the rest of the day. Another tip is to wear comfy clothes. Get yourself a good playlist ready, or even some podcast episodes, just so that you can keep yourself company with some background noise to keep you going whilst you're at it. Have some bags ready for any clothes you get rid of, and pre-purchase any hangers or storage that you may need for your decluttering process. Right, so let's get on with the steps. Step number 1, take a before photo. This is something I like to do with just about anything that I'm about to do that's going to have a transformation. The before photo is really good to look back on. So take the picture of your wardrobe as it is, however you store your clothes. If it's an absolute mess, that is fine. No one else needs to see it. This is for you, and it's really going to help you to see how far you've come. And even when you're midway through and you feel like giving up, you can then refer back to that before picture and be like, come on, I can do this. So that's why I really like to start with a before picture. Step number 2, take everything out of your wardrobe. Now this can seem a little bit overwhelming at first, especially if you have quite a lot of clothes. But getting everything out, it really allows you to see what you've got. And also, if you do have quite a lot of clothes, it can really help you to kind of put things into perspective, because often we don't realize how much we actually have. And if there is a huge pile, it can kind of be a little bit of a wake-up call, which is good as well. If you do have a ridiculous amount of clothes and you actually don't have space to pull everything out, then maybe do this in sections, but the end goal is to eventually work through everything so that you know every single item that is in your wardrobe. Step 3, separate everything into piles. So you're going to make 3 piles now: a yes pile, a no pile, and a maybe pile. I'd say be strict with this, but also be mindful, because you don't want to end up putting anything in the no pile that you're in fact going to want to end up repurchasing further on down the line. So this is where the maybe pile really comes in handy, because anything you're not sure about, just put in there. And of course, anything you absolutely love, put in the yes pile. A few tips for when you're trying to assess clothing and whether you should keep them or not. You can ask yourself a few questions. It could be as simple as, do I wear this item right now? If not, then why? Is it something that you can wear more? Does it fit with your current style? And would you buy this item now? Don't keep an item just because it's new. If it's not something that you wear and it's not something that you love, then don't keep it. And in this process, don't be afraid to try things on. Often the easiest way to tell if we like something or not is to simply see what it looks like in the mirror, especially if it is something new that at the time you purchased it, in the moment, and then you go and try it on again back at home and you're like, oh, that's not how I remember it. Or if it's something that we've had in there for a while and we kind of actually forgot what it looks like, just trying it on really quickly can be really helpful to quickly assess that. You might actually come across some pieces that are actually really good quality items, but they might just need a slight little bit of adjustment or a slight bit of repairing, and it could mean that repairing an old piece gives it a new lease of life and it's actually something that you really love. Obviously, really assess these types of pieces, and this could be a separate pile for a mend pile if that's relevant to you. I know in the past there's been items in my wardrobe that I love, like the item itself, but it's just not fit right, and then by having those taken to the tailor and altered, they've since become items in my wardrobe that I absolutely love. So just be mindful of that, and even things that you maybe think you need to throw out because there might be a zip broken, a button missing, or a hole in a certain place. As long as it's not old and decrepit, it might be a case that it actually can be fixed, and it's worth looking into it, especially if it's a piece that you have previously really loved and it is still in good condition. If there are any other items floating about that you're still really unsure of and you're like, is it a yes, is it a maybe, then I have created a fun little flow chart which is over on my website. I've linked it down below, and it's just a fun way that you can quickly go through and assess each item and see if it's a keep or a get rid item. Step number 5, create a separate storage space for sentimental items. Now this is a little bit of a tricky one, because if you're someone who holds on to pieces because you have emotional attachments to items, then you need to be really careful with this. I did want to keep this point in here, however, because I know there are some items that some of us feel we really want to keep, and there's a difference between feeling like we need to keep something and feeling like we want to keep something, because holding on to something because you just feel like you have to, unless you really want to, I would say don't. And if you're not someone that feels emotionally attached to items and you would rather just rehome it if it can be rehomed, then do that. That's completely fine. I know for me personally, there were a few items that I didn't want to just like get rid of completely. I knew for me personally, when I was going through this process myself years ago, there were a few items that I didn't want to just get rid of because they were sentimental items and they were things that I genuinely wanted to keep. So a couple of items for me were my leavers shirt from high school that had all my classmates' signatures all over it. Of course, it's not something that I'm ever going to wear again, but I actually kept that with a memory box where I kept all my old diaries and personal sentimental things like that, like photographs. And also I kept the dress that I wore on my first ever date with Damien, which I know is very soppy, but it's something that I'm actually really glad I kept because that's like 10 plus years old now. It's just one sentimental piece that I wanted to keep hold of, and I actually did get use out of it recently because last year I featured it in my date night outfits evolution video. If you would like to watch that, I will link that here. So for me, those were a couple of pieces I didn't want to let go of. Obviously you might have like a wedding dress that you want to keep and you probably have a separate storage space for that, but anything sentimental that you want to keep, store it away somewhere, but just keep it separate from the rest of your wardrobe. But be careful not to hoard in this process, because if you're someone who does attach sentimentality to items, it can be a case of you attaching an emotional memory to almost everything in your wardrobe, and please be mindful not to do that. Really assess any items that you want to keep in this way. Step number 6, reorganize your yes pile. If you live somewhere like the UK where we have a number of seasons, I say we have a number of seasons, I feel like it's been cold for forever because it's currently winter here as I film this. You might want to separate your seasons in your wardrobe if you haven't done so previously. This will help so much when getting dressed on a day-to-day basis, because then you're not being overwhelmed by items that you can't currently wear right now. So at this point you can kind of go through your yes pile, separate things. What will you not be wearing currently? I'd also say you might want to put away certain special occasion outfits if you've got anything that's like black tie or that kind of thing that you're not going to wear immediately. So it doesn't need to be in your everyday wardrobe, but you will want to keep. So just organize those into different piles so you have a real idea of what will be going where. And then at this point, if you have pre-purchased or you already have some storage area for you, it might be tubs, it might be like a designated area in your wardrobe, put that out of season stuff away. So it could be that you keep stuff in the loft or attic, or it could just be that you have a designated area in your house. You can use like storage tubs for under your bed. I've got some great boxes like that, like about this size. I've got a couple of those that I got from TK Maxx, and at the moment I've put all of my like summer dresses in there, and they're just in my wardrobe space but just to one side, so they're not interfering with the rest of my wardrobe. So that can be a really good idea to do that. Step 7, put all of the items that you love back into your wardrobe. Try and keep things organized, because this is going to be how you hope to maintain it going forward. So you might want to keep things in certain categories. I know I like all of my t-shirts in one bit, shirts in another bit, and then I'll have my coats, I'll have my jeans in another bit, just basically so that when I'm getting dressed I can kind of see everything. Obviously everyone's storage space is set out so differently, so it's finding what works for you. And if you are able to separate categories as much as possible, then that's great. You might even separate things by outfit or colour palette, but just think about how you tend to dress day to day and what's best for you when you're kind of going into your wardrobe. And a top tip for this point is, maybe if you're able to, this would be a good time to think about replacing hangers. That's if you have hangers that are just from here, there and everywhere. I know that years ago when my wardrobe was quite literally like a jumble sale, I had every type of hanger under the sun. I had the ones the shop give you when you buy clothes. I had like these weird wire ones that seem to bend out of shape as soon as you put an item on them. I had wood ones, I had really thick like suit jacket hangers, and it was all a bit of a mess because they're all sitting differently, everything's twisted. It was horrendous. So I made the decision when we moved into this house to just start again with hangers, and that has been one of the best decisions. I personally went for all white wood hangers, part for the aesthetic and part for just keeping it universally the same throughout. I know some people favour like the thin velvet hangers. They can be great if you've got less space because you kind of fitting more in. Also, the velvet means that the clothes will stick to the hanger better, especially if you've got quite a lot of like silky type pieces. So whatever you choose, I would say to just stick to the same type of hanger throughout if you can, and also making sure you have enough hangers, because there's nothing worse than when you have about 5 items on one hanger. But hopefully through this process you won't have that issue anymore, and then you can neatly align it so one item can be on one hanger. It will change your life. Step 8, go through your no pile. Now, whilst we're getting rid of stuff, we're not just going to simply throw them in the bin because that will just end up in a landfill. If there are items, of course, that are beyond repair and they're just then take them to your local recycling centre and make sure that they're being recycled properly, because quite often certain materials can be reused. Otherwise, it might be a case that you can even sell some items if they're of good quality and you feel like you have got the time and effort to put into that. If you maybe feel like you can't be bothered selling them, or maybe they're still good quality but not worth selling, there can be the opportunity to take things to a charity shop. There are also a number of charities that really would appreciate your clothes that are in good condition. Places like SmartWorks, for example, are great because they take in workwear for women who need office wear if you're UK based. But have a look online and maybe figure out what's best for you and what's in your area. It could be that you can just give things to friends and family, just people you know, because sometimes you might have something that you don't really wear anymore, but you might have a friend who would absolutely love it. I know I've done that plenty of times, and just figuring out what's going where. So separating those into those bags and then distributing it out. So organising your no pile and figuring out the best way to pass it on. Step 9, assess your maybe pile. So at this point, you may have already tried on everything, but if you haven't, I would say go through your no pile and try things on, because like I say, the easiest way to decide if you want something is to see what it's like on. Do you feel good in it? Does it look good? Does it fit with other things in your wardrobe? It's asking yourself those questions again. And if you're still unsure, you don't have to rush into anything just yet. You can put those items into another bag or storage area, just wherever you put them. Keep it separate from your current reorganized wardrobe, because you kind of want these out of the way for a minute, because you're going to keep these somewhere that you're not going to see them. It might be that you literally just put them under your bed for now, but maybe give yourself a time limit on this. So I would say about 4 weeks. And what will happen is in that time you will realise what you actually miss out of that maybe collection of clothes that you've got there. So I would recommend setting either a reminder on your phone or marking this out in your calendar so you don't forget to go back and check up on those items, because it is so easy to forget. And what that will help you determine over the next 4 weeks is if you really want to keep any of the items in your maybe section. Step 10, revisit your maybe pile. So it's 4 weeks on now, you've had your reminder and a clear indication of if you're getting rid of or keeping those items in your maybe pile, are if you've gone back through the bags and you've pulled something out that you've missed, then that's a sign that maybe that's something that you actually want in your wardrobe and you do want to keep. But if you forgot about most of the things in that pile, or you've not missed them all in your wardrobe, then that's probably a good indication that this is time to let these items go. And then you can go through those items as you did with your no pile. And now, breathe. You've done it, you've made it to the end, you have organised that wardrobe, and hopefully it feels good. Now you can go and take your after picture. Not only is this great to see how far you've come, but it can also serve as a great reminder to see how your wardrobe has changed and how much, hopefully, better you feel about it now, because it can be so easy to slip into old habits. So having those photos there, like if you really wanted, you could even print them and put them on the wall, and just having them to just remind yourself, keep on top of these things, because it is so easy to let new things come in, for it to just become a little bit cluttered again. And you could even do something like the 1 in, 1 out rule, which quite a lot of people do, where if you let a new item in, you have to let go of an old item. That's if that's something that can work for you. That can be a good way to keep on top of things. So those images can just be a great little reminder, and also just a great little before and after picture to see how much you've done and how much you've organised, because sometimes it's actually easy to forget how bad things were before. And hopefully through the process of decluttering, it's give you a newfound love for your wardrobe. You can see everything, you can get dressed that little bit easier in the morning. Like I said as well, if you're struggling with style and really honing in on that, then maybe watch part 1 in this series, which is how to find your style. I will link that down below in the description box. Otherwise, don't forget to check back for the next part in the series, which will be up soon, and that is going to be how to build an outfit. So I will look forward to seeing you in that video. If you enjoyed this one and found it useful, please do give it a like, it's really helpful. Also, don't forget to subscribe to see more videos like this, and hit that bell button if you'd like to be reminded when my next video goes up, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Thanks for watching, bye!